Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Fortnite Story. I'm joined alongside someone you may not know, but likely know his work. Loripasto has been helping out organizations and as well as the Fortnite wiki that you guys all use. So, what's going on, Lori? How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me. And as you said, I work mainly behind the scenes. So I guess that most of the people are used to watch Fortnite in the main broadcaster, like watching their favorite players playing. Usually don't get to know us, the people behind the scenes. But yeah, I worked for it is like 3 4 years now for fandom at the Fortnite Esports, which is the main power ranking that Fortnite pros usually use. And also I've worked and helped several organizations. For sure, the main one is Become Legend. I worked for them from like early 2020 to like June 2021, and I'm currently working with an Italian organization which is kind of new because it was founded in November 2021. It's called Desyre Esports. So yeah, a new project for me, and I'm kind of excited to be here and to talk about myself and also this project that I'm part of with you.
All right, cool. Thanks for joining me. And it's Lori Pasto. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. There is like the American pronunciation, which is kind of distorting the name, but it's fine. It's Loripasto, more
Okay.
plain. Yeah.
What does that mean? Is that
It's actually my first name is Lorenzo,
okay?
but lots of my friends call me Lori, and my surname is Pastore. But a lot of friends as well call me Pasto. So I just
Okay.
say, yeah, okay. The uh, if I put together these two names, it's Lori Pasto, and this is the name.
Cool. So it's basically just like a nickname that you got
Yeah,
in real life and then shortened into your gamer tag, I guess.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Io
Like,
parlo un piccolo italiano, but that's about it.
I mean, it wasn't bad. I understood. I understand it, so it's fine.
Yeah, the accent isn't good.
Yeah.
I studied in Perugia for about a month, so my Italian was good a few years ago, but not anymore. It's been
But
3 4 years. No, more than that, like five. Jeez.
yeah, but I guess it's the same for almost every languages. When you practice, it's really good. You keep improving, but the moment that you stop, it seems like everything goes like to waste.
Yeah, your English is much better than my Italian. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
Um, so let's start off like how you got started in all this.
yeah.
Was Become Legends the first organization you worked for?
Uh, yeah, not really. Like, to be fair, the first time that I joined the esports scene and the forum specifically wasn't through organization, but through the wiki that we talk about.
Okay.
Uh, and actually, it was really random because I don't know if you remember, but Rosenfold basically founded
Yeah, the
the
Rosenfold
wiki.
rankings.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh, and like he didn't know how to code it, so like he asked to help to Gamepedia, but at a certain point he decided to drop it and to move on other things in his life. But like I was kind of getting into competitive Fortnite, especially the Italian scene. So like I started editing the pages of Italian players, and they basically told me, "Look, do you want to come and join us? Because there is literally no one right now. You are the only people that is using this wiki right now in terms of like editing it, because it was kind of dead in 2019. So like I said, yeah, cool. I started learning how to use it, and they basically told me, okay, like if you want, we can give you all the administration roles. You can become the wiki lead. You can manage it as you like. So I basically starting building, starting creating a team that could work with me. Zenko as well, one of my best friend, who also joined BL with me at the time, starting working. And through that, we start speaking with lots of players and lots of managers and lots of people that work with organization in general. And so we started, since we were Italian, we starting. helping Italian organization, small Italian organization. And then actually it was kind of random because it's true that when we joined Become Legend was really small. It has like 5 or 6K on Twitter. They attended the World Cup, which was for sure a great achievement, but they weren't the Become Legend that we all know right now.
Right.
But the content was already really the main thing of the organization, and they were creating something really amazing, and you could see that. So Zenko posted a tweet. I actually didn't want to do that, to be fair, but he said, "Oh, okay, no, let's do it. I want to do it, so you have to do it as well," basically. Yeah. And so he posted that, and some people replied, but the one that stands out the most was like Reno, because he told us, guys, if you want, we can like speak and see if we can arrange something. So we start talking with BL, and he was like, yeah, I'm interested, but for sure you are really knowledgeable about the Fortnite scene, but I don't know how much you can fit in the organization. So what about you join in a like experimental way for like 3 months, and if everything goes well, we can like extend our partnership. And so we decided to join Vehicle Legend in this trial period. Everything went well. So like we starting, they liked our job. We liked being Become Legend. So basically we started um, working together. And for like a year and a half, we start doing stuff together. Actually, in June 2021, I finished the uh, I don't know how to translate this in the American terms because I was in school at the time. It was
Okay.
like the one before university is like college, right?
No, so high
I,
school is
high
typically
school.
what you call.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so high school. And I finished high school and I had to like join university basically. So like it was okay. I want to focus 100% on university, and I was speaking with the guys in Become Legends, and they were expanding so much. So like I knew that I either went full time with Become Legends or like went through the university process. And I spoke with my parents a lot, and also with the guys in Become Legends, and uh, we reached the conclusion that since I wanted really hard to attend university, uh, I couldn't do both of things. So I just told them that I was grateful for everything they did for me, but I stepped down from the position. But I kept a really good relationship with everyone in BL. Indeed, like we met each other in DreamHack, Sweden on June,
Nice.
and it was like yeah, really nice.
So
Also because
what did you
yeah,
wind up doing for BL? Because you said you did stuff for them, but like what kind of work were
yeah.
you guys doing?
Uh, to be fair, like when we joined Become Legend, there were like Reno, Nora, and Sonic, and Sonic was like the performance coach. Not Reno, we know everyone knows Reno, and sorry, Norland was like the administrative part. So like when we entered, we were like thinking about ways to create innovative content. Uh, Also, of course, apart from the scouting part, but that is the more the easiest thing that you think about when you think an esports manager. But the main part was like creating events. For example, on the Discord, we created some events, or like creating some type of content that could uh, make BL from an organization with like 10K followers to like stand up and become a tier one organization. That was the main goal. So like we thought that no one in the Fortnite scene, sorry, was actually creating content in a significant way when you speak about an organization, because it's true that nowadays there is like energy with like the Castle or like other big organizations that are posting lots of content, but at the time, uh, I remember that the TSM in 2019 tried the experiment with the TSM house, but they kind of failed
Hmm.
because, for example, Amlix stopped streaming. Like the only one in the house that was doing something was like Myth. So I feel like some organizations were maybe discouraged from investing a lot in content and creating a structure that could actually help the organization grow in Fortnite.
Definitely.
And the organization that were in Fortnite were like really focusing on competitive Fortnite, investing lots of money, but of course an organization that invests lots of money only on the competitive aspect and doesn't build something around, for example, content, is difficult that will achieve something in terms of revenues from sponsorships or investors because it's not really interesting for them. For example, I remember Enterprise Gaming in Europe invested something like 2 million in a year, and they shut down after a year and a half or something like this. So we were like brainstorming in Discord actually really later at night because you have to know that Trino before 3 p.m. he doesn't wake up usually. He goes to sleep like at 6 a.m. But yeah, we were like saying, okay, so how can we uh, do things different? How can we stand up from the others? And we came up with the conclusion that the only way was like posting real good, high quality content, but not just high quality content, but also creating a narrative. We were like, it's true that we can create a lot of pictures, high quality pictures, and post cool graphics, but that doesn't necessarily create fans. That might create like followers, but a followers doesn't buy your jersey or your sleeve. A person that buy that is like usually a fan. So we decided to create a narrative that could be like, for example, if I have to do a parallelism, is like a movie.
Hmm.
If you have a movie with a extremely good cast, but the actual movie, the narrative inside of it is kind of bad, you won't go to watch the sequel. But
Right.
if you watch a movie that has a mediocre cast, but a really nice narrative, you give a second shot to the sequel. And we were actually like, it's true that when you see the initial roster of Become Legend, you really like and Flick Anas. But when they joined, they never did anything that was like amazing. Because, for example, Anas had some cash cup results, but he never placed in any FNCS, like not even the qualifiers. He didn't have big achievements. And of course, this was because, if I'm not mistaken, at the time it was like 3 FNCS, and usually players goes with players with the same achievement. So
Right.
if you're a new player, the only way that you have to go with bigger players like to place in cash cups. But obviously, a player that places only in cash cup for like 1, 2, 3 months doesn't have lots of recognition. So it's Reno actually found him, and it was really an amazing scouting. Also, N it was growing, but it was really small. Like yeah, like 50 or 75, something like that. Average spectators on Twitch now is like 2K. So like yeah, it's pretty different. Like Flick, if I'm not mistaken, is currently focusing on school right now, but like we all know what Flick achieved.
Right.
So like we were like, yeah, okay, our roster is not amazing at that period of time, but if we can make a narrative good enough, I'm sure that people will follow us and enjoy our journey with us. So that's basically what we have done.
Okay. Yeah.
And
And I mean, you guys definitely achieved that. It's not just you tried that. I mean, you look at BL today compared to literally any other organization. I think that they're the premier Fortnite organization,
yeah,
other than like obviously NRG
yeah,
and G2, and they're different because they started as a tier 1 org and
yeah,
then just bought into Fortnite, whereas Become Legends like built this from the ground up, and it sounds like you were a part of that building, which is really cool to hear. And I can see now, based on like what you're saying, like the boot camps, creating that story around the players actually playing the game and investing in, we are a competitive Fortnite organization. Let's not try and be something else. Like, let's just be the best competitive Fortnite organization and tell that to everyone that we can. Um, it's worked out well, and I'm happy to hear that. I mean, you still sound pretty excited about it,
yeah,
even
for
though it's
sure.
been a while for you?
Yeah, like it's really amazing. For example, the first boot camp that we organized when I was actually in Become Legend was in Norway, and we actually signed some prospects, some academy players at the time, and I I should have attended, but we literally had no space for me whatsoever because new players came in, so I had to like step down, which wasn't a problem. But what I'm trying to say is like even if the funds were like really little at the time compared to like other organization, because like if for example G2 sign five new players, they can still fly everyone. Like that's not a problem, but uh, these like give you a perspective of how big was Become Legend at the times in terms of like the possibility of spending that they had. They still managed to like create something that was really out of their league. Because like to be fair, no other organization in the foreign sphere achieved that internationally. While nationally, I feel like Wave has done something similar but like related to the DAC scenes like Switzerland, Germany, and Austria. So yeah, I think that like I remembered when I was in BL when I joined, Serenity and Become Legend was like comparable. Like we were head to head, and while I still I have Serenity in high regards, the difference is kind of big right now. And I feel like that this shows like exactly um, why the approach that Biel has taken was the right one, because Serenity was more into the competitive aspect of the game, where Biel was trying to do something like more 50-50, content-wise and competitive-wise. So yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting combination because you look at it, it's like built on the back of solid placements and coaching and players getting better.
Yeah,
But a lot of orgs do that. They just don't tell the story. And like what you
yeah,
were saying earlier, it was very important for you guys to find a way to build that narrative, to tell that story. And I think that's why it stood out. And not only that, but I mean, the boot camps themselves, now it seems like a lot of people are going to boot camps and trying to create content around that. But, at first, Become Legends was, and Wave also, were like the two that were creating those spaces for players to come. And, now it's not even necessarily like single orgs. It's, oh, this person's coming to
yeah,
our boot camp. And, why would you say no if you have the space? It just sounds like a good idea to get more people involved and create that atmosphere. And then it also, additionally, besides like the output from a player's perspective, if you're surrounded with a bunch of people that are like, I want to do really well, you want to do really well, we're going to wake up, we're going to grind Fortnite, we're going to get better, like that just leads to better and better things. So it's, a culmination of everything that's been done, which is why Become Legends like the premier Fortnite organization at the moment. So yeah, it's awesome. If you ask anyone, I think they are the best.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
and
agree.
yeah, I just like I hold the organization in high regards, and like just the work that's been gone on, and obviously you've been in the background for this. When did you leave Become Legends?
June 2021.
Okay, so
For
about a
like
year
yeah,
ago.
yeah, because I wanted to pursue like my studies in economics and management, and like it wasn't really compatible. The organization was scaling too much, so the time that I should have spent behind the organization would be a lot. And both me and the organization pretty much knew that I either had to go one way or the other. For example, Elix, which actually was my friend, so like I recommend it to Reno, and he joined BL for that reason. He finished the high school at the same time of me, and he basically decided to go the other way. So like pursuing esports full time, which kind of off right now, but it's a choice. And honestly, while it's amazing what Biel is achieving, I'm not regretting it because right now I'm still working in the esports scene with a small organization, but like it's Italian, it's based in Milan. I live in Como, which is like half an hour by car. So it's really a really great thing for me to stay in an industry that I love so much, but at the same time I can pursue my uh, dream school trip. I don't know how to say it in correct English, to be fair, but my journey in the
Right.
studies. So like it's pretty great for me, I would say.
That's good to hear. I'm glad that you decided to do what you did. There was two options there, and you know, I, I don't like to live with regrets. It's not something that is really helpful. So just looking forward to seeing you're going to be able to get a degree. You'll finish with knowledge, and then you'll be infinitely more valuable
Yeah,
because you have the experience, and now you also have the education and training that help as well as your experience. So it's cool to hear. Do you know what you want to do as far as once you graduate? Like, what are you on year one now, or just finished your first year?
yeah, exactly. I just finished my first year. Like, to be fair, the current organization that I'm in is called Desyre Esports, and is like 9 months. It is being created 9 months ago, but is backed by Stardust, which is a really big company in Italy, which has under its wing lots of huge creators, Italian creators like TikTokers, YouTubers, streamers, etc., etc. So like it's part of a wider project. It is doing a lot of expansion. For example, they arrived second in the VRL DAC in Valorant. They are currently first in the second division of Italian League of Legends league. So like they will most likely be promoted to the first rank this year, and they're
Oh,
expanding
nice.
really quickly. So what I'm looking for in the future is for sure to continue the collaboration with them, and most likely finish my studies. And hopefully, I will keep staying in this industry for a lot of time.
Nice. Sounds like you enjoy working in esports. And
Yeah, I
does
do.
I'm just looking through. It looks like Desyre does have a couple of Fortnite players that they
Yeah.
sponsor. So you get to stay close to home, and as well as, are you working around? Like, what exactly is your position? What are you doing for them?
So actually, the fact that I enjoy so much is that they basically told me, okay, so this is the goal, this is the budget, do whatever you want. Like not filling these terms, obviously there are like some limitations, and it's clear. Um, we had Shmeki as the main foreign player. He qualified for two grand finals out of three this year, which for Italy is kind of great because there is like only one person that could do actually better, which is Belusi, and he qualified for two out of two and one and the hits of this FNCS, so he might qualify for three out of three, but no one else in Italy. And also, I decided to open in collaboration with Desire an academy, but I don't like the academies where like team block players and do nothing for them and just hope that they explode. So we
Right.
were actually okay. Let's bring some editors, some Twitch advisors, some social media manager that can help them grow, help them they grow as fast as possible. And also, if they need, let's pay for coaches for them so they can improve in the competitive aspect as well, and it paid off actually because, for example, Arc he previously qualified for just sorry, Arc and Zack above them because they are qualified for the third hit.
Okay.
They actually came 73rd in the last FNCS. And in this FNCS, they were like 20th in the consistent leaderboard. So they will play all three hits, which is
Nice.
already a huge improvement. And to be fair, I hope that they can win at least one out of 17 match. That would be great. But and considering that in Italy for the hits, if I'm not mistaken, and I may be mistaken, but there are only three players qualified, and two of them are ours. It means that like we are working great.
Yeah.
Obviously, the goal of the organization of Desire at at this moment in time is not, for example, as Falcon, Wave, become legends. They want to be at the top of Europe. When I started working with them, we were pretty clear. The goal was in 2022 trying to become the best in Italy. 2023 starting the expansion in Europe, and in 2024 become a presence in the top 10, top 5 in Europe. And so this is what we are trying to do. And competitive wise, we have achieved our goal. How much? 5 months before the end of the year. And on the content side, we are working on it with like new content creator, and also our players are growing a lot. For example, Jamaica is like averaging 700, 800 spectators each stream, which for a country like Italy that has like 1 million people interested in esports, and obviously you have to divide that in various titles.
Right.
It's great. To be fair, it's also like it's great for any country. To be fair, in Europe in general, it's great. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you have a couple hundred streamers or 100 viewers in a stream, that's pretty impressive.
yeah,
Um, you're at like the top. I think over 500. You're in the top like 1 or 2% of all
yeah,
Twitch. So like to be 700 plus is really solid. And I mean, just looking at what Desyre's doing, to me, it's very interesting because here in America, we don't there's no division. You know, you can't build a fan base
yeah,
based on like a state. But in Europe, it seems pretty common where you're going to at least start within a certain area, or if not an area, a specific country. Like there's UK based orgs, Desyre's an Italian based org, Norvidin is like the Nordics
yeah,
generally. And then you have other ones. Wave was at one point kind of like an Austrian German
yeah,
Swiss org, but they've shifted. You know, like you said, that stage two. Once you build your fan base within your country, then you can expand outwards. Oh, and I didn't even mention the French or the Spanish orgs, which are
yeah,
probably two of the bigger ones.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting to me that that is kind of the model within Europe, and I definitely think it's more of a straightforward path because you can find that niche within your own country, whereas like in the U.S., for example, it's everyone is in that same pool. There's not a language barrier. Everyone's going to speak English, or I mean, there's some Spanish speaking orgs, but it's very specific to your audience, which I kind of like that. That sounds like a cool way to do things.
To be fair, there are like pros and cons. For example, like if you go in France or in Spain, there are not really as much cons as there are in Italy, because esports is probably as developed as in the States. But like in Italy, the regulations are like 5, 10 years behind the other countries. Like
Right.
it's really bad. For example, like most of the LAN rooms closed in Italy because they said that they were comparable to the slot machines rooms. So they were
Okay.
like, yeah, let's not enter in the details, but it was like kind of crazy. Just to let you know, like esports is not really big. For example, if I name some of the biggest organization, you may have heard about them. It's like Makers and Clash, but they're not really huge worldwide. While in France, you say a Team Vitality, it's one of the biggest, Solary, one of the biggest as well. Or like you can go in Spain, and like in Spain there are literally football team competing in different titles like Barcelona or Koi or like Heretics, for example, Team Queso. In the UK, there are lots Guild. In the Nordics, BL, even if BL like right now is like 50% of its audience is like Polish, of course, because what they're doing there, they still has roots in the Nordics, Nordavind, which is like now 0 Nation, as you said before,
Hmm.
um, Sprout as well, and in German as well, you have lots of big organization, like big the organization, uh, the Schalke 04, even though they got relegated, so they kind of stopped or at least they scaled down the esport organization. Um, but yeah, like there is a really big difference. Like those organizations because the environment permit them to. be this big. In Italy, that's not really possible, or at least none of the organization in Italy have achieved that because for sure it's a problem when your pool of audience is like 60 million compared to like 500 million native English speakers, but also it's even more difficult when the legislation goes against you.
Yeah, that
So
makes a lot of sense. So you guys in Italy essentially have to figure it all out yourself. I mean, I'm
yeah,
just thinking like the state I live in, North Carolina in the US is investing something like 15 million into gaming and esports and then also giving like tax incentives for events to come here. So like you've seen CS:GO events, you've seen Rainbow Six, Apex Legends was just here a couple of weeks ago. So like it's bringing all that, and if the state or the country is not actively seeking out that interest or like support for it, it makes it that much harder
yeah,
because this is a super competitive space. You named how many orgs just right off the top of your head, and there's so many people trying to get involved in this, and every little thing matters. So, I mean, I wish the best for you because it doesn't seem like the Italian government is on your side. But again, that may change. You guys do a couple of big things and show people like, oh, okay, maybe we should take notice for this, and then quickly,
like
this starts rolling.
for example, I don't know how it works in other states to be fair, but in Italy, an esport player is not a professional recognized professional players. So like we have to register every single one of our players as like uh, not even semi-professionals, but like amateurs, like paid amateurs,
Okay.
because there really isn't a professional esport player as a professional. It doesn't exist.
Hmm. Well, I know within at least like some of the orgs that I've spoken to, like it's just simply a contract work, so it's not
Yeah,
even at least over here, it's not necessarily even a career. It's this company is paying you X to do a job, and then when the contract's over, technically this ends. But also, it's a little more cutthroat in the U.S. as far as like business tactics and things like that. Um, anyway, thank you for sharing that. It's really interesting, and I'll have to follow Desyre, keep up with it, and hope to see you guys do well. Is there anything in the immediate future? Like, do you have plans for an FNCS content style or anything
yeah,
like
like
that?
we we have to wait the 24th because we don't know if Zach and Hark will go through the hits, but we hope that they will do. We actually have a partner which is called PC Hunter, which provided us with hardware mainly, and they are a PC shop in based in Italy. So we were actually thinking to bring them if they actually qualify to a house in Milan and let them play from them there and create some content. But for now, it's just like some plans, some minor plans because we have to actually see if they go through. Yeah.
What's the ping in Italy? Because I know people always talk about like Germany, France, and Denmark is now the big new zero ping.
The ping, it depends. Like in Milan, you can get between 5 and 10. In the middle part of Italy, in the center of Italy, around 20. In the south, even 60.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. Like the south of Italy, like in Sicily, is closer to Africa than it is to like Germany. So like the server are like mainly in the UK, German, Netherlands, I think. So yeah.
okay. So that makes sense why you would try and push for a house or some sort of
Yeah.
boot camp up in Milan, which 5 to 10 ping, yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it also depends on like the like if the LAN rooms were open, it would have been pretty easy. But now you have to hunt for a house that actually has a great ping, so you have to go check house by house, or like you have to. In our case, we are lucky because we are partnered with these companies. Like we can just use their facilities. So yeah, we are
Nice.
lucky, but not all Italian organization has this option,
Yeah, especially with
unfortunately.
land centers being shut down.
Yeah,
Um, maybe they'll come back here in the future as things continue to grow. But I want to talk now more about the Fortnite wiki. You mentioned that's where you started, and you've been doing that. You're still the wiki lead. So what does that mean for like someone that has no idea?
Okay, so um, right now, to be fair, I have like more uh, how do you say it? More, even though I'm still lyrically I'm not as involved as I was before because like I decided to help this organization, go to university and follow the wiki as well, and trying to have some sort of social life in between of everything. So I have a cast, for example, that is helping me a lot, and is like taking the actual lead of the wiki a lot more than me, and I'm more like an advisor right
Okay.
now. But uh, the wiki lead is mainly the person that gives the direction of the wiki, the changes that has to be done, and basically all the decision between June 2019 to June 2021 were decided by me. Then I fully decided to switch to university, but in around spring 2022 I was since I were going back to the esports scene with Desyre. They asked me if I wanted to come back to my role, and I accepted. Obviously, I already told them when I accepted this role that my involvement would be less than before in terms of like time because I didn't have enough time. And basically, what we do is, at least what I did in the past was like um, I really like using the spreadsheets. So like I put all the information, for example, the prize pool, the amount of players that qualifies, the amount of stages that you have to get to the final um, leg of the tournament, and give each and everything of these factors a value from 1 to 5. And then I created a formula that gave you a number in return. And so we created like some national tournaments, minor international tournaments, major international tournaments, minor, sorry, minor and major national, minor, uh, minor slash major was like in the middle, and major international tournaments, and then like FNCS Grand Finals and World Cup.
Okay.
And when you uh, put all the data in the spreadsheet, you ended up with a value. And basically, that was the thing that told you which grade your tournament were and the points connected to that. Of course, it is not, and it was not perfect, but it was as good as we could make it. I'd say that. And uh, it's funny because when I came back, everything like is now is automized, I I cannot say the word, automated. Okay,
Okay.
so like we have a program, we can just download all the data from this program and put them in the data page, and it does everything uh, automatically. But when I started, I had to go and check every single name, input every single name, and more people call them with like straight. Now we use IDs. We know that each player has an ID, so
Right.
like we don't care if a person change name. But at the time, we didn't use ID because I was manually placing name by name, and every time that a player plays with like a name like Dog 345, I was like, okay, now who is this? Who is this player? So I had to like search for his duo and hope that his duo actually didn't change his name. And go to his Twitter and check if he tagged the other players, and it was like really painful, if I
Oh
have to
my.
say. And actually, at the time, they was like, okay, but like, why are you like giving the points to like top 50, top 100? I was like, because I cannot search for 1,000 players manually. So that was like kind of funny. And also, a lot of people that joined the power ranking, which actually is composed by volunteers, so it's not paid. Also,
Okay.
people that do that were actually kind of scared from that. So, like after 2 weeks, they left, and they were like, "Okay, so now me and Zenko as well. Okay, so now we don't only have to do manually name by name, but we also have to search for new people and give them instruction how to do stuff. And it was like really, really funny. But to be fair, at the time, I just really wanted to help the community. And and since the site has been running for like 3 4 years, I guess that something good came out of it. I know really well that it's not 100% correct indicator about players, and that's not the goal. The goal of the power ranking is like to find players that have similar achievement than yours, so like you can find a duo or like help organization scouting players. To be fair, like both me and you know pretty well that a foreign is a weird esports because the competitors actually do more views than the content creators most of the time. So like when you look for a League of Legends player or Valorant player, you look for a player that performs well. While when you look for a foreign player, you may choose a player like the top 50 instead of a player in the top 20, but who has 4 times the socials of that player. And actually that was one of the policy of Desyre for like the main team. We choose pairs with big socials, and like for the academy we develop those socials. And so yeah, returning back to the wiki because I kind of lost my way. So yeah, basically what we did was like create not create, continue this amazing project that was founded by Rosenfeld. And we gave mm, to different people. In the start, we was like 7 or 8 people. Each one of us had a region, and we did this data, this compilation of data to give our ranking points to the players. And it was like at 1 2 a.m. we had meetings after like all the afternoon we spent doing those kind of stuff. We had meetings to decide the orientation of the wiki, where we should go, because before I did that spreadsheet that I told you before, we actually invented it out of our minds. The PR, like we were okay, so this PR for me it should be this, and the other person will be no, for me it should be this, and we were like 7 and 8. So even if like I was the I still am administrator and week lead, it's not like what I decided was the right thing, and I knew that because I don't think that everything that I say is correct. It's kind of the opposite, to be fair. Like I'm a human, so we all had the same uh, importance during these discussions. So it was like really difficult for us to come to a conclusion. And for the decision, I said, okay, guys, I did this program. Now the values are probably wrong, but let's get some value where all of us can agree, and let's stick to that because yeah, it's kind of getting out of hands.
Yeah, well, and like you mentioned, like by no means is PR perfect, but it is by far the best thing we have to kind of gauge where a player is.
Yeah,
And there's nothing similar. I mean, Fortnite Tracker does it now, but there's nothing where you can like just go look at a player, especially now where the earnings are so like some players' earnings are so ridiculously
yeah,
above everyone else, like the based on where you started. If you started playing in like the skirmish days in 2018, you're gonna have hundreds of thousands of dollars in earnings, but that could also mean that you haven't touched the game since then, and you're looking simply at earnings. Okay, that player has more money earned. That seems like the better player, but we move it to 2022, 4 years later, like I could have zero earnings and currently be a better player than someone with hundreds of
yeah,
thousands, which is why I like the PR system, and it makes it easy to visualize and understand where players are. And it's more like almost a tier, like Fortnite's kind of just tier based, so you can clearly see there's drop offs when you're just looking at the numbers and the values, and it just shows that difference of, okay, Queasy, Malabuka, um Cammy, Seti, like those guys are all different than everybody else. They're just really freaking
yeah,
good, and then everyone else is still trying to catch up and get there. But uh it's an interesting problem to try and solve, because I know at times there's been community uproar with like, why is this like this kind of tournament? Why is this like this much
Yeah.
PR? And then even like more recently the org thing, everyone was upset
I actually
because
wasn't a part of the PR at the time. I was in my studies pause, so not my fault.
go back to 4 players per org. That's what we need. No, I don't know what the right solution is because
So actually, right now we came out with this solution, which I think it's the best.
okay.
So uh, there was a problem, which was like even with the 4 people inside of it, you could start an organization, buy every single top player. For example, what Enterprise did at the time, Enterprise Gaming. Um, if I'm not wrong, Enterprise Gaming had I don't remember. Let me check. I don't want to say uh, anything anything wrong, but they're like for for sure they had like Scully maybe when it was like uh, let me check because I really don't want to mess up the roster because someone aims to me and say, "Oh, you got it wrong." But yeah, okay. So they had Salvid when it was like at the peak, Verox, Maxi, Kylix, Quasi, Trulex, Scully when it was like at the peak as well. It's like they basically bought every single top player, and we were like, okay, so Wave, BL, and at the time there were Serenity still. All this organization built a roster, grow their players, and then they came and just bought everyone. So we were like, okay, let's find a solution to stop the uh, this phenomenon. And and this is what I was told. So like they were able to do that, but for some reason the squad system that limited it to 4 players broke. But the problem was that they didn't have, since it's made of volunteers at the time, they didn't have people that could fix that problem. So at that moment in time when everything was like complaining, they fixed the problem of buying PR, but they another problem emerged that was realistically bigger than the one that they fixed. So like actually they then got a coder which fixed the squad thing. And right now, for example, Galaxy Racing, even though they have Kick, Malibuca, and Quasi, they are not the first or like near the top 5 because the PR counts from the moment that you join, which is for me the right things because your organization didn't do anything to deserve 6 months of PR if the player wasn't actually in the organization.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense because otherwise it's like this is not the organization's PR. In no way were they involved in it. I mean, maybe technically they were signed like 2 weeks before it was announced, but whatever. You announce when you announce, and that's not your guys' problem to try and figure out when everyone was officially signed. I
Yeah,
like that solution because everyone can now, if like you have to earn it from an organization perspective, and it requires long term, if this is something you care about, is being on top of the power rankings as an organization, which I know for a fact some organizations definitely do. And whether it be just the owners competitive, or that's a selling point saying I'm a top 10 ranked team in the space, you have to do it over the long term. If you just buy a player and then move on to the next one, that won't help you because that will then disappear.
like, at the end of the day, the wiki still gets millions of views each month. So if you're like top 5, people might click your profile and check your socials. If you're like top 30, that doesn't happen. So for sure you can get some kind of like following from being at the top. And you can like also a sponsor usually wants to sponsor people orgs with big numbers, yes, but also that have great performances. So like you either go to a sponsor and say, okay, I'm not interested in competitive in the competitive aspect, but I have these numbers on content creators. But if you introduce yourself as a competitive org, and you have Fortnite as a title, if you rank high enough, that could be a great indicator because you don't have another indicator for organizations. I think that the tracker only has the one for players, but I'm not sure. I might be mistaken.
I don't think it
And
does.
mm,
I'll look real quick, but I'm pretty sure it's just players.
so yeah, I think that that can help a lot organizations for sure.
Yeah, it is just players, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's super helpful to use that as a selling point because not only can you provide X amount of views, but then you can also be like, hey, this is a top 3, top 5 Fortnite organization in Europe. Like that proves that we know what the heck we're doing, and likely we're going to continue to win. And then also when you win stuff, people then go look. So it's just one extra selling point for organizations, which is, I don't know that it's the purpose of like the wiki page, but it's definitely one benefit that the organization and just the general Fortnite scene has received. So outside of all the top players, we also have all these smaller players that can now look at it, like you mentioned before. Like I have 1,000 or 12,000 PR. I can look for players similarly and try and find someone based on that. As imperfect as it is, that is a much better system than just like, hey Lori, how good are you?
Yeah, exactly.
That's, you can tell me whatever the hell you want and it
Like
doesn't matter.
as you said, you can do either like that or like you can ask the earnings, but like according to the earnings, Tfue is like 25th in all Fortnite, which of course like he won a lot and he was like a real beast in back in 2018 and 2019, but he's not at that level anymore, of course. And nowadays he just play casuals or like some no builds tournaments, but nothing else. So yes, I think that is for sure helpful. And when I think about Wave and Become Legend, it's true that like 95% of what they build is through the content and the players that they sign. But to find that players, I'm sure that to use the power ranking, and also the fact that an unknown organization was in top three in the power ranking may have given some people, uh, may have generated in some people the question in the head, okay, let's check them out, let's check the content that they put, and then they actually found out the content that they put. Because when you have a wiki that generates millions of views, for sure at least a couple of hundreds of thousands of people will check the top 2 or 3 organizations, and then it's their job to transform those viewers into followers first and then fans.
Yeah, well, it was your job too, and now it's your job
Yeah,
for a different organization. Do you play Fortnite at all? Do you have time?
I, I have 0.69 kill death ratio in public matches. So yeah, I had lots of fun in chapter one. Like I remember that I came back from school with my friends and we were like, no one of us actually played the two FPS before. We played like FIFA or like I I play lots of Football Manager and I played in the past as well. We also like played a lot of car games, for example, the F1 game. But like I remember that when Foreign came out, it was free, so like we checked it out because at the time when you're like a school student, you don't really have much a lot of budget, and it was fun. So like all days we came back from school, like 1 or 2 or even 3 hours we played together, and for sure it's a game that marked my teenage year. Like my childhood was like probably marked by Minecraft, I would say, and my teenage years were like marked by Fortnite. Both because I started working as a teenager in the Fortnite scene, and also because I played a lot of the game.
Okay.
And where sometimes like I kind of feel sad because a noob like me who really enjoyed the game. Nowadays, you can like you enter public lobbies and you either get stomped or you do a 25 kills win because there are only bots, like real bots, not player bots in
Yeah.
terms of skill. So like I feel like that because at the time. I started playing in chapter 1, season 3. Like everyone was bad. No one knew how to build. I remember always remember this clip from the skirmishes of that Russian guy who plays like four walls and one stair, and it was like amazing. The cast went crazy because of, oh my god, he did that. But nowadays, like I can do it, and I suck. So like the skill level was a lot. And yeah, so the issue with Fortnite, I guess, that there is not really a ladder system like there is in other games. Like, for example, I play, for nowadays, I mostly play on my phone, like when I'm in the bathroom or like I'm chilling on the bed, and I like, for example, Pokemon Unite.
Okay,
And there is actually, which is like League of Legends, but like with Pokemon character.
gotcha.
There is a ladder when you get matched with player with your same skill level. So like I can compete with you, I can win or I can lose. Either way, either me or you fuck up because our skill is the same. So you can win in two ways. You do something wrong, or you do something amazing that outskill your opponent. I don't think that there is this kind of system in Fortnite. Like even Arena that doesn't have this. I don't know if it's pronounced arena in English. To be fair, it was
Arena,
Italian.
close
Arena.
enough.
Okay, it's fine. So yeah, if I had something to change in the casual part of the game, I would do something like that
Okay.
because I'm sure that a part of the decline, like the people that say Fortnite is dead are completely wrong. But it's true that it's kind of declining from the peaks that it had during the World Cup. But it's inevitable for a game to decline after sometimes that it got released. And to be fair, I feel like the problem is that a lot of players that playing will keep playing for like 1, 2, 3 years. But like there are not really new players that are joining the game as casual. They like joining as competitors. They are trying to play like FNCS, etc., etc. The cash caps because they like the competitive aspect of the game. But if you're a casual gamer who wants to play casually, you either get 25 kills win or you either get stomped the first in the first zone. There is like it's
Yeah.
kind of
It's
worse than it was before.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a difficult game to play now, but I feel like most competitive games are difficult to play. It's just others are a little more helpful to get you to
Yeah.
that next level. Whereas Fortnite, it's just so difficult to even get started sometimes. Um, anyway, we are almost at an hour now. So I'm going to wrap it up. Got a couple questions for you. I do appreciate you joining me and sharing all your knowledge and experience. It's been quite interesting to listen to. But first, your favorite Fortnite skin?
I don't know how it's called, but I always use this. It's the one that the character is like made by slime. You
Made by.
know, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. It's like the blue one, blue
yeah,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
what is it?
Let me search it. Uh, Ripley versus slime. I read it on the internet. I'm not sure if it's that one.
Ripley?
No, it's like Ripley versus slime. It's the name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I send it to you in the DMs. This one.
Ripley versus slime. Yeah, I got you. All right, so it's like the big sludge or
Yeah.
slurp juice, I guess, kind of looking guy.
It's to be fair, like I started using it because like it was kind of fun as a skin because you see this blob working on the mountains and then I never change it. So yeah, I'm just using it right now
Nice.
when
And
I
then
play.
lastly, and wrap up, like where can people find you? You know, this is a chance to shout yourself out, or if you're working on
Yeah.
anything, let everybody know.
So at the moment, I don't really have personal projects because I don't have much time between university, the Desyre, and the wiki. So you can find me on Twitter, Loripasto76, which lots of people told me, why did you choose that? It's 7th of June, my birthday, but everyone thinks the first time that they see that I'm like some old guy, which is true. It is the a possibility when you see that name. So Twitter is the main social that I use. I also have an inactive Instagram with the last peak was like 5 years ago. So if you want to check it out, there is a dog. Same
Nice.
name. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lori, so much for joining me. It was great to hear you and hear like different experiences than I've even heard before in the past. So it was awesome to hear your story, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Of
Thank you
course,
so
of
much.
course. And thank you all to you guys listening at home, at the gym, if you're on a walk, at an airport, wherever you may be. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google, all the different places to listen to a podcast or watch it. If you have any complaints, go ahead, send them to me at somebody's gun, or if you want to tell me I'm awesome, that works too. Appreciate you guys. You all have a great day and take care.